Welcome to this Love School audio session. This session today is a breathwork practice session. Please listen when you can be fully present and totally conscious. Don't listen when you need to keep your attention required elsewhere, when you need to concentrate, or if you're operating any machinery, driving, or anything like that. This particular session, the skills that you'll learn could be used in the future whilst you're doing things, but for now, while you're practicing, it's recommended that you stay focused. And for this session, try and find a place where you feel safe, where you won't be interrupted, and you can enjoy this session. For this breathwork practice session, we're going to look at 4 different kinds of breath work. If you've watched the breathwork video, you'll understand the benefits and the importance of using our breath at times when we feel over or underwhelmed. In this exercise, we're going to practice 2 calming breaths and 2 energizing breaths. To begin, I'm going to start with the simplest method of connecting with your breath. This involves simply bringing your attention down to your chest. Just feeling your body rise and fall with your breath. Just tuning into the sensation of your chest lifting and falling as you inhale and exhale. Just taking the time to pay attention to and connect with our breath can be a very grounding and very effective way of becoming present in the moment. Now, when we're breathing, particularly when we're trying to consciously breathe, it's important that we can learn, or in fact unlearn, some of the techniques around our breath that we may have adopted through life. When we're not paying attention to our breath, or in fact when our emotions are beginning to override our body, when we're too fixed in our minds or on a task, our breath can become very shallow and we feel it only in the top of our chest. Our lungs are these massive, huge organs, and at the bottom, our diaphragm is a very powerful muscle. And with practice, we can train this muscle to really work the fullness of our lungs. And when we do this, we allow more oxygen into our bodies. It's a more efficient way of claiming the resource we need from the air and the environment around us to help our bodies function optimally. So just before we begin the practice exercises, you're invited to begin to pay attention to your breath. How deeply or shallowly are you currently breathing? If you could see your breath, or if you can sense the feeling of it entering your lungs, just pay attention without judging or changing where your breath is filling. How deeply and fully is it filling your lungs? Perhaps it's only reaching the top of your chest. Perhaps you feel like your whole lungs are full. When we want to really fill our lungs with breath, the most natural way is to pull our diaphragm down using the strong muscles of our diaphragm and around our core and our abdomen and our bellies. A full belly breath. A natural way of breathing can be very, very clearly seen in babies, particularly, and young children, especially when they're asleep or lying down resting. If you just observe a child, you'll see as they breathe in, their bellies rise, and as they breathe out, their bellies fall. Now, as adults, our breathing over the course of our life can potentially change, and we start to breathe from the top of our chest. And this means we're limiting the amount of oxygen and the amount of air that our lungs are taking in each breath. Obviously, this will change as well when we're being active and performing different exercises. But for now, for this first noticing, you're invited to place your hands on your belly. Slightly interlock your fingers, not so that they're firm, but so they're all slightly touching each other and your entire hands are covering your belly. And just so we can notice the difference of how it feels to have a full belly breath, just imagine that diaphragm muscle as you're breathing pulling down and allow your belly to naturally expand. And release. Now, we're going to try that again and just watch your hands and your belly as you allow your lungs to fill. Try and breathe slowly so you can really see the difference in your resting body to when it's full of breath. We'll try again right from the bottom of your belly and filling up. Another way to imagine this is like a balloon. Our lungs are a big balloon, and rather than pushing air in, what we're actually doing is expanding and pulling the balloon from the bottom, and it naturally fills with air. So try again one more time. Now, just the practice of filling your lungs from the very bottom of our bellies all the way up to our chest will be a very good introduction to breath work. So you're invited now, if you wish to pause this audio at any point so you can practice, that's absolutely fine. Take your time. Or you can do it on a separate occasion and practice it throughout the day if you can, just so you can really start to notice when you're breathing from the chest and when you're breathing from your belly. Now, the first exercise we're going to try is a calming breath. It's a very, very simple technique that you can pretty much use anytime for many different reasons. This is a really good technique to use if you begin to feel stress, any sort of anxiety, overwhelm, or really if you just want to take a pause and reconnect with the present moment, give yourself some space to find a thought or connect with your feelings. This breath work we're going to do now, this slow calming breath, can be really beneficial. And it's very similar to the exercise we've just done, where we're becoming aware of the breath in our belly. But very simply, we're going to take long, deep breaths in from the belly and a long, deep breath out. And we're going to do this with an equal count of the breath. So for example, we'll start off to the count of 4. And as you breathe in from your belly, just in your mind, count to 4. Then immediately release with a long breath, again counting to 4. Are you ready? Here we go. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Release, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Release, 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Excellent. So we've just done 3 long breaths. Taking the time to do these long counted breaths where we become conscious, where we count our breath, is a very good technique for resetting and calming and finding that space. You can actually do it if you're in public or you're around someone and you don't necessarily want them to see you taking breaths. You can also do this quite subtly, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. So for example, we'll breathe in through the nose. And out through the mouth. And again, breathing in through the nose for a count of 4. And out through the mouth for a count of 4. And if you do that 3 times, it gives you a long enough pause to be able to collect yourself, collect your thoughts, gather your feelings, and respond if you need. If you're feeling next level emotions, if we're becoming triggered, if you're really beginning to feel anxious or panic, and you really want to just reset your nervous system, you can do this breath work 10 times. If you feel safe, obviously, to do it where you are, then you can do that. But obviously, if you need to leave your environment for a minute, you can even just say, I need to take a breath 1 minute, or I need some fresh air 1 minute, or just need space. Can you give me a minute? And do 10 repetitions of this long, slow, counted breath. If the count of 4 doesn't feel natural for you, if it feels too long or too short, you can adjust your breath. Obviously, you do it at your own pace as you develop this skill. And the longer and slower the breath that you can practice, the more efficient the calming influence will be. So you're invited now, if you would like to practice your long calming breaths, to either pause the audio or you can practice yourself in another time. The next calming breathwork exercise we're going to do is again very similar to what we've already practiced. We'll call it a square breath. Now this breath work is a lot more conscious, and it's more likely you'll do it when you are alone, when you're consciously practicing, when you have some more space, or in those situations where your nervous system is really activated and you really need to calm down. Now with the square breath, we're doing a count of the breath in our minds again. It's best if you can breathe in and out through your mouth. But we're going to add a hold and a pause. So, for example, we're going to breathe in to a count of 4. We're going to hold for a count of 4. We're going to breathe out to a count of 4. And we're going to pause before our next breath for a count of 4. Now, if you imagine in your mind the breath moving from your body, it kind of takes the shape of a square. So that's why we call it the square breath. It's equal, it's measurable, and it's a cycle that goes up, hold, across, out and down, pause, across. So we'll practice this together, and I'll count up to 4 with your in and out. So if you're ready, we're going to breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. We're going to try that again. We're going to take deep equal breath in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. In, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. I'm going to do this breath work together with you now without counting, so you can hear and feel the motion of the breath without the distraction of me counting for you. So if you're ready, we're going to do this together. And in, hold, out, pause, In, hold, out, pause. In, hold, out, pause. In, hold, out, pause. Excellent. And relax. Now with the square breath, if you need to, you can slow that breathing down. So you can take your in-breath to a count of 5, 6, 7, or even 8. If you really feel you can hold it like that. Whatever feels natural for you. At the beginning, you might want to start a little bit slower. A little bit quicker, to a count of 3 even, if the 4 feels a little uncomfortable as you're expanding your breath. If it feels more natural to breathe through your nose, that's absolutely fine as well. Just work with what feels right and calming for you in that moment. So practice the square breath with your equal in, equal hold, equal out, equal pause. And the longer and slower we can do this breath, and for a more prolonged period of time, you might want to do 10 repetitions. You might want to time it and do it for a few minutes. Just keep it nice and calm. You'll find this breath is very good at restabilizing and resetting your nervous system. Brilliant. So we're now going to move on to the 2 energizing breath exercises. The first breath that we're going to try is very similar to the square breathing, and we'll call this triangle breathing. We're going to use equal breath work as we have before with the count. But what's slightly different with this breath is we're dropping the pause. So between your in-breath and your out-breath, there is no break. You completely breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. And we're going to do it to an equal count. And what's happening here is as we're holding the air in our lungs, all the oxygen is going to our brains and beginning to re-energize our bodies. The pause and the square breath actually allows a bit of a rest period, which is what brings the calming effect in the square breath. When we actually are feeling a bit underwhelmed, when we want a little bit more motivation or energy, this is when we might use the triangle breath. Maybe we want to be inspired. Maybe we just want to, feel a little bit of motivation to do some exercise or to clean the house, whatever it might be. This energizing exercise can also be really good if we want to communicate very clearly as well, because the extra energy that's going up to our heads is going to help us think more clearly and speak with more energy. So we'll try this together, and we'll try it again with a count of 4, and I'll guide you through it. Again, if you can breathe through your mouth, do. If you prefer to breathe through your nose, that's fine. So when you're ready, with an equal count of 4, we're going to breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. In, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. In, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop and relax. Okay, now you've had a little bit of practice. I'm going to try that repetition again without my count, so you can practice counting the breath yourself. And we'll slow it down slightly so you can really feel the effect of that long in, the hold, and the out. So when you're ready, breathe in, hold, out. In, hold, out. In, hold, out. In, hold, out. Excellent. And relax. So if you would like to practice that breath a bit more, you're invited to pause the audio or practice yourself at another time when you can, if you particularly want to focus on that breath. Now, our final energy breathing has two variants, and it's a much more intense breathing technique. And this can be used to really clear our minds, really energize our whole body system, really get oxygen in our brains, pumping around our bodies. And I'm showing you two variations because some people, some situations, it might feel better to try one over the other. Now, this particular breath work will create a lot of energy. So this breath work you may feel a rush to your head. If you begin to feel dizzy or anything like that, stop, breathe normally, sit down, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. It's a very conscious breath that we use. What we're doing in this breath is we're taking very, very deep, fast tummy breaths that completely fill our entire lungs. So we are intentionally using our diaphragm in a very strong, assertive way to pull and fill our lungs as much as possible. We're then releasing the breath in two different ways. We'll go through each exercise, and for each one, we're going to do a count of 5 with the breath. We're not counting the actual breath this time because the intake of breath is one fast, large intake. What we're doing is counting the repetitions. So in the first exercise, we're going to very quickly take the breath in and then immediately out. Take the breath in and then immediately out 5 times. This one may take a little bit of practice. I'm going to show you, you're going to hear an example of me doing fast in, 5 out, fast out 5 times. We definitely need to do this through our mouth so we can completely fill our lungs. If you're ready, I'm going to go in. Break for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, in. Break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, in. Break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and relax. Now I've only done 3 repetitions of that. I can already feel the energy pumping through my body, the air, the oxygen all going through my brain, and I feel really energized. Now if you can do that 5 times, you're going to feel the full effect of that, and you would take a longer pause. So after you've done the 5 repetitions of the fast in and out 5 times, you would then break for a good 30 seconds to a minute. Let your body reset, feel where the energy is, and if you need to go again, go again. Now, the slightly different variation is we're going to do the same really long, fast breath, completely filling our lungs, and we're going to push it out 5 times with short, sharper breaths. And we're going to do this again 5 times. So I'll try it with you first. If you're ready, in, 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 pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And relax. Again, this is another really intense breathing technique. So you can do this repetition 5 times, and then after your 5 times, take a longer break before you do any more, 30 seconds to a minute. As you build up this exercise, as your body gets used to it, the rush of energy, the oxygen to your brain, you can potentially extend this breathing. But be very careful, because there could be a chance of hyperventilation if you do not do this consciously and with self-care. We're using this energy breath as a fast way to really motivate and energize our bodies, and it's not a way to punish ourselves. So thank you very much for joining me on this breath work practice session. I hope you found it interesting and helpful, and you're invited to listen again as you practice the different techniques, or just take time once you have your technique, once the technique is understood, take some time to practice bringing these breathing techniques into your day-to-day life. When you need help to calm, or you need help to energize. And our breath is a quick, safe, free and easy way of being able to reset and regulate our own nervous system. Thank you.